he said all he said abroad before foreign parliamentarians. Well, they've forgotten too that at the time Nigerians kept talking to the president, asking him to speak to us about what his ideas are about governance and all that. The president was on a frolic abroad. Every time we heard from him was whenever he traveled abroad. He would address the people from there. So we take snippets of what he's saying as message to us Nigerians living in Nigeria. The person of Bishop Father Kukah, Bishop Hassan Kukah, as I always say, is above reproach when it comes to his patriotism. He's beyond whatever any of these people who are reacting to him would ever imagine to measure up to. The truth is that that is a bishop, and as a bishop, as a cleric, even as a faithful Christian, or if you like Muslim, you are not expected to tell lies. So if he's been invited to come speak about the state of our country, then he's not expected to tell lies simply because he's before foreigners. And what did he say that is out of place? Now he talks about, yes, there are collateral damages
on both sides.
On both
Christians
sides,
and
yes.
Muslims,
But we also know that, for instance, the very sad case of Leah Sharibu, when these kids were taken away, Leah Sharibu was the one who was reported to have been the only Christian that refused to renounce her faith. She refused to renounce her faith, and Nigerians of goodwill came out to say, if nothing else, the president should invest whatever it took to get Leah Sharibu out, at least as a message that he also equally values the life of a Christian girl who has kept her faith.
There was a lot of symbolism to that.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It was symbolic because at the end of the day, what did this...
So the president's reaction really had made a difference.
Absolutely.
He made a promise, actually, to be fair to him,
yes,
that he was going to ensure that Leah Sharibu returns back to her parents.
He didn't.
But this is how many years now?
3 years, about 3 years. This is empty rhetoric that usually comes from the president and his minders. Look, if the president and commander-in-chief of armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was committed to the words, the promises he made about securing Leah Sharibu's release, he would have been able to do that. We've seen where the president was serious about anything at all. It did not take him any time to be able to achieve it. So that's fact that we have all left Leah Sharibu, a Christian girl who says, look, I'm going to keep my Christian faith. I am going to make sure. It's so symbolic. And the president had a glorious opportunity to say, okay, this one Christian girl, whatever it took, I'm going to do that. Then we would be able to say, okay, with the criticism of Bishop Kukah, but the president, there's a strong point,
yes,
where he used whatever means to get a Christian girl out of the hands of those terrorists, because I don't call them bandits, it's still euphemistic to call them that. And we read stories, unconfirmed though, of the fact that the girl has been put in family way. The girl has been made to produce 2 or 3 children within this time, and it's sickening. Then what's difficult about the president and his minders staying on the script and take it? Must you react? Must you even come out with an official position? And unfortunately, you have his minders who have no level, the lowest level of emotional intelligence and the lack of strategic communication. Because you would refer to a personality like Bishop Kukah as the so-called. So for God's sake, that's the lowest. It marks the lowest watershed in the miscommunication of the minders of the president. I align with Bishop Kukah. Yes, there are collateral damages on both sides, but we've had opportunity, and it talks about Garuba Shehu talks about how can you say there is a tilt against Christians when there's a Muslim Christian ticket as president and vice? that's for me preposterous to use that as a justification, because we know that is the way Nigeria is ordered. The only time in Nigeria's history that Nigerians did not mind about the combination of Muslim or Christian was in the time of the Abiola era.
Right.
After that time, we saw that we lost our glorious chance to come together devoid of ethnicity and religion. And this president has more than anything deepened the divide between us on the level of his ethnocentrism and his religiosity.
And the nepotism, which Bishop Kukah has also talked about in terms of appointments, especially the heads of different
It's glaring, it's clear to the blind.
But according to you, the minders have continually, debunked that statement, saying the president, of course, the president is a Muslim from the north, the vice is a Southerner and is a Christian, the ministers were balanced and all of that.
So the president was cloaked in the phantom garb of a man of integrity. They ran riots all over the world, going to deliver speeches, going to address people abroad.
Which is precisely what I'm heading at, because if you're criticizing Bishop Kukah, for instance, for speaking to a foreign government, I mean, this is not the first time it's happened. As candidate Buhari pre-2015, there were a lot of missions to foreign countries, not just by the president
himself. He was even rushed off to Chatham House.
Exactly. At Chatham House, I want to quote exactly what the president said. I urge the international community to continue to focus on Nigeria at this very critical time. So the president directly at the time, as a candidate, invited the international community show interest in Nigeria. This is about telling the international community everything about Nigeria. And prior to the 2015 election, we know how U.S. emissaries from the White House visited some opposition political parties in Marina in Lagos without the president at the time being involved. So there's been
you see if we reverse the rules from what, and I'm glad that Buhari became president and commander-in-chief of Nigeria, because we would have, just like we would say of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the best president Nigeria ever had. I'm glad this Buhari became president. I'm really glad. And all of those phantom garb of integrity has fallen down. None of his minders, not even his closest ally, will tell us today about integrity. A president who would invite, a man as candidate who will invite the world to look at us, is president and is midwifing legislations. Of course, as the executive, the National Assembly already told us clearly that whatever he says he wants done will be done. And remember, is just to show you that the e-transmission that was rejected, INEC says we are capable of this, we have what it takes. E-transmission was rejected. The president's aides are already defending that, which shows that it is the hand of Esau and the voice of Jacob.
Chris is still on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's bring in Chris at this point and look at some of these issues. Chris, would you like to contribute to the issue of the way, according to Let Me Hear, the minders of the presidency, or the president rather, addressing the issues raised by Bishop Kukah, attacking him in some way?
Thank you once again. Happy good to you. Enough due to network. It's quite unfortunate, just like Lene, that ambulance of the president will come out in the way and that they did. There's nothing Father Cook said that Bishop David Oyedepo of Winners DCS, you go and listen to what he said. That he preached it, and he raised some of these issues too. In fact, in his sermon yesterday, as his speech, he said that he will run Nigerians in 2015 during the election. They should be very careful in electing President Muhammadu Buhari. I don't want to lay the blame on El-Bashir because he's spokesman of the president. So if Gabriel and he's speaking on behalf of the president, so that means it's Muhammadu Buhari that made those statements, and that is to me is very, very uncharitable. Everybody has freedom of speech as enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution, and everyone has a right to his opinion. And my worry is we are now at the level at which every single speech that is